Hey, how's it going? This is Rory from RateMyFuneral.com. That was Rate, by the way. Happy New Year. Welcome back. Right, we've had Christmas. That's done. We'll have no more about it. Now we're going on for the new year, new start, new beginnings, all that sort of stuff. We'll do something slightly different today. I will give you a model, and we're just going to play with it, basically. It's the arcade cabinet. You may have seen the video I put out already showing the Mortal Kombat game on the arcade cabinet and that sort of thing. So I'm going to give you the model that's available on the site, and we're just going to have a play with it right now and see what we can do with it. Let's hop on onto cinema. Let's hop on into cinema 4D. Right. Okay. Let's see. Where are we going to begin? Somewhere near the end. Right. Okay. So the model that you will have downloaded, possibly, or you might now want to go and download, is this. This is what you get. It is available from RateMyFuneral.com. If you go to the news and blog, there'll be a post about it in here somewhere. Obviously, I haven't put it up yet because I'm still making the video, and I didn't want to put it up before I've made the video. Chicken and egg, and all of that sort of thing. So it will be here. I'm pointing to the screen. I don't know why I'm doing that. Right, anyway, let's see. Back to the model. Right, there it is. So if we just hit render on that, that's what you get. That's it as completely as default. Excuse me. Obviously, I couldn't provide it with all the textures and everything like I did in my video, which I'll show you now, because of the fact that I didn't make these textures, so they're not mine to give away. But I can show you how to find some and use them. So this is the video rendered out in using Infidio Pro. So that's why you get this nice seamless floor Infinity Studio look, and so on and so forth. And then just for a bit of a change, I literally changed Infidio to Infidio Dark, and this is the look I got with that. And this is all pretty much default settings, so I thought it all came out pretty well. So it's essentially the same video, just swapped out the backdrop. So it's just nice how quickly and easily you can just get a completely different look. Right, so enough of all of that. Top selling albums, we don't care about that. Right, so yes, let's begin somewhere. We want to texture this thing up. Now, like I say, I've done most of it for you. And what I've actually done is included with the file, there's a text folder here. Now, if you go into here, there's a PSD. Now, you need Photoshop to alter this, but I've kind of made a template. So, yeah, so this is the template I've done, just to keep it relatively simple. Basically, what you have to do is whatever you put into these little areas will map to this. A couple of things to do for that, but let's go ahead and do it. Now, I'm going to use Infidio Pro for this. You can obviously rig up your own lighting and do whatever you want if you don't have Infidio, or as I'm sure you might be aware, it's available from my site. But if we just have a quick look at that, that's now the kind of look we're getting already, which is much better. Right, cool. One thing I will do is I'm going to change to the progressive renderer, but just because it's so much faster when you're dealing with this sort of thing. So if we go to the render settings and change it from standard to physical, and go to physical and make sure it's progressive, which it is there, perfect. And also, just because I like it, I'm going to turn on ambient occlusion, just because I like the look that gives. Now, if we hit render, it takes a second just to give it, but it's much quicker. Give us a quick idea of what it's kind of looking like. So that's better, much better. Right, okay, lovely. Texturing. So let's see, how did we do it? Best way I found was I googled Mortal Kombat 2 artwork, and that's how I came across all these wonderful images. There's like this, it makes a good bit to go over the front. This is obviously where all the controls are. So there's all sorts of weird bits and pieces you can find. Have a look around and see what you can find. Do something different. I collected a few reference images. So I've got a few here that I've kind of played with. So like, for example, that's for the side of my cabinet. And these are those stickers to go on the sides. So it's all like that. That's great. And we will use these right now. So let's get our Photoshop and let's just arrange this a little bit so that we can fit everything on the screen once. Okay, let's get rid of those as well. Right, okay, so let's start with the left side. So I'm just going to grab this and chuck this into here. The way I do this, there's a million ways of achieving all of this, but I just reduce the opacity of this one and position it about right and shrink it down. If you hold shift, it keeps the aspect ratio. Now it's not absolutely essential, it depends kind of what you're aiming for here. I just want something that looks half decent, so I'm just going to drag that a little bit. There we go. So that's now, as long as it's within those lines, that'll be okay. And what we'll also do is we'll have one of these stickers. Let's grab that and we'll reduce the opacity of that. I'm just going to delete. What am I going to do here? Let me just think. No, I'm going to create a layer mask, put a square around this midway here, and then basically I'm just going to fill with the paint bucket everything around that in black. I think I'm doing this the right way around. We'll soon find out. No, I'm doing something wrong. Right, so I've got that the wrong way around. So oh, this is me doing Photoshop on the fly. Oh, right. So this is probably the most stupid way of going about this, actually. Let's just do it like this. Inverse, so therefore I've got all of this area around it, and select black, yep, and fill. There we go. So we've created a layer mask around that. That was all I wanted to do. How silly. Right, let's Control T gives you your scale whatnot thingies. So we'll just place this. Bang, 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 bang. Something like that. I want it to fit though. Okay, and let's just move that about. So we have a few extra little. Oh, control. Right, what am I doing here? There we go, back to this one. Right. This really isn't supposed to be a Photoshop tutorial, but to get rid of, I've missed a bit there, so I'm just going to go back into my layer mask, grab a paintbrush and compress the square bracket just to make that a bit bigger, and we'll just paint that out. There we go. Basically anything that's in here that's black, it won't show. Anything that's white, it will. Anything you paint white, it will show. So, righty. So let's just get that lined up about right. Let's zoom in here a little bit and have a look. Because what I want to now do is just ensure, create a new layer. I just want to make sure that behind that it's all black. So I'm now just going to fill that with black. There we go. Wonderful. So that's the side done. Let's do the other side. So we'll just drag this one in. Excuse me if I am going a bit fast. I don't want this to take too long on this bit. I've put the wrong one in. But this is the problem. More haste, less speed. If you try and rush things, you eventually completely mess it up. So let's just drop the opacity of this one down. Stick it in here. Just so it all fits. Let's just drag him down a bit. It doesn't matter if it's... Take it a little bit. There we go. Right. Okay. And side block. Now you can obviously go to more effort, but I am just going to duplicate my two words there. I'm going to grab that bad boy and just place that there. There we go. Right, where are we seeing? So top front. So let's have another one of these ones. Place, yes, okay. I want to zoom out a bit. Okay, these are really, really high res images, by the way, if you're wondering why my machine appears to be really struggling. Now, I think this works actually. If we put the square around it now, and then we press the layer mask button, yeah, that works. Okay, cool. So we now just need to put this dude up the top here. We might have to cheat a bit again, I think. Yeah, we will. We're going to have to do what we did earlier, because it's not quite fitting in the gap. There we go. Right. Okay. Yeah, apply. Okay, and then once again, we'll create a new layer just behind it. Grab a box and put that inside of that box. And fill with black. Right, okay, so that's the top front. I'm gonna, again, just make a duplicate layer, grab both those layers, and I'm gonna put that all the way down here in the front middle. Let's just turn those down a bit just so we can see what we're doing here. Okay, so if we raise that up a little bit, I'm adjusting the opacity. Right, okay. Layer 8, let's Control D to deselect, Control T, and we'll just put that in there. We'll put that in there. It doesn't you don't even have to worry about sticking to the, as long as you're somewhere in there, you don't have to worry about sticking to the edges, you know, like a colouring book and all of that. Just make sure it fits roughly. Actually, that's a very good point. It's a very, very good point. So I'm actually going to just adjust the size of this a bit, because I want that red band to go right to the edge. And let's drag that down. And position that again. Like I say, I'm not going to worry too much about it being perfect, but you can obviously fine tune it to your heart's content. Right. Okay, and finally the control top. I'm going to use this one here. Let's zoom out a bit, shrink that down. God, dear oh dear, this is really struggling. Like I say, these are pretty high res images. They were absolutely huge, but I did actually shrink them down a little bit. So if we can get this lined up pretty much where those holes are, we haven't got to move any of the buttons or anything, so that's that will obviously be quite a good thing. But in case you don't want to have to do that, I will show you how we're moving stuff around should we need to, and I just want to make sure that that is below the one underneath so that this line doesn't come out here, which I'm not sure which one is. Could be that one. Right, and then we'll put all of our opacities back to 100%. Let's zoom out. There we go, we can see what we've got going on there now. That's fine. So we just save this out as a JPEG or something like that. So arcade cabinet text, well, yeah, we'll put it in there. JPEG, and we'll say done text, whatever, it doesn't matter. You can call it whatever you want, call it beans and cheese. Right, back into Cinema. Now basically what you're looking for is, I've named everything. So we find the one called artwork, and basically what you'll have in here is it says no bitmap, and that's because you need to tell it to use the one that we've just made. So we'll select a texture, then we'll select done text, which is what we just created, or beans and cheese, whatever you named it as. And bang, that will be on there. And if we now come back out of there, we get some kind of idea as to how this is now looking. So that's using all those textures, and I've lined them up and done all of that already for you. So if we come and have a look here, we can see everything is doing as it needs to. Perhaps slightly these buttons are off, which is perfect because it means I can show you what to do to move these buttons around and whatnot if you want to create new ones, because obviously not every game had these amounts of buttons and whatnot, but I'll show you what I've done here. So let's do that next, get that bit done. So if we open up the arcade cabinet, everything's in here. Again, I've named everything so it's easy to find. Basically we want to open up the controls, so we'll open up P2 and P1 controls. We need to also open up the controls platform because I've put a hole in for the sticks to poke through. So what we'll do is we'll grab the two holes, and we'll also grab the stick and all the buttons for player 1, the stick and all the buttons for player 2, like that. And what it looks like is they just need to come just down a little bit. And if we hit render, so that's in a much better position now. So your buttons are in pretty much the right places. You can, like I say, you can make copies and add more buttons and move them around and do whatever you want. It's just the thing to remember is that when you're moving the sticks, you need to also move these holes. Otherwise your stick won't be in your hole anymore. And as I'm sure you're aware, that is a terrible position to be in. And also while we're here, if you want to animate any of these, you can keyframe and animate them, and you can move that around and do all of that, you know, give it a bit of wiggly and keyframe and animate that. For the buttons, it's best to keyframe and animate. If you go in, grab the cylinder, and then you can keyframe and animate that going up and down and flying off or whatever. The colors for the buttons are all down here, so you can change those easily. Right, so that's that bit. The next bit we will look at is the screen. On the screen, which if we just close up these controls, that's this one here, but the one we're worried about is this file, this texture here. So if we double click that one, again, no bitmap, so we'll go in. There's a couple of things worth noting here. Because this is a screen, it's normally backlit, isn't it? So what I tend to do is actually put it on the luminance channel. So luminance, we need an image, so I'm just going to go into my reference images and just grab this screenshot here. Do you want to make a copy? Not at the moment, whatever. And when we then look, we now have our image sitting nicely on our glassy screen. Now, there are a couple of things that you may want to do with this, which involves animating and putting video onto the screen. And there are two methods to put video on the screen. One is to do it actually in cinema, and just render it out and done. That's how I did the one before, but only because I didn't have sound issues to worry about. There was no syncing or anything. I knew the video was going to play from the start to the end, and I just put the same audio over it. However, if you want a bit more control over it, you can actually sort of create a track mat shape and do it like that. So what we will do is we'll start off by just doing the one that's inside of cinema. So what we need is a video. I have a video here. Oh, get rid of that. And it's in my render. No, it's in my. I had a video here. I've lost it. Text. Is it here? It's not there. I've just got some different ones. Right, okay. All right, well, forget that. We'll just use one of these videos. That's fine. I've got one here that's an arcade and an arcade machine mixed. So we've actually got two. This one has... It splits between that and in video and in video dark, just to see the difference. Right, okay, we'll use that for now. What you have to do, basically, is go into your screen and select the video as this file here, as the image. But there's an important point to know, is that the only way it will work is if the video is in the text folder of the file that you're working on. So you have to have saved it, so it has a location, and then we'll just put a copy of this file into our text folder where our done text is, and we'll paste that in there because it needs to be in there for it to work it out. Then in here we go into that one and we select our video that we've just done. Okay, and we go into there, and what we have to actually do here is go to Animation tab, and then here just click Calculate. Now this has already done it for me. For some reason, sometimes that just says 0 and 0, and you click Calculate and it works it all out. But this has now done it. Now what will happen is you won't get real-time playback on your screen there. It'll just basically stay the same. Let's just give ourselves a few more frames. But if you hit render at any point, it will render at the point where the video is. So this is a bit of a, this makes it a bit tricky for setting up and testing. But this is why this way, like I say, if you haven't got a problem and you don't need it, then just do it like this. If you need a bit more control over it, then it's better to do it the other way, which we'll get onto. So now that we've got that in there, we can, let's just add a camera to the scene. Make this look a little bit prettier. Let's see, we'll make a camera move. So just something simple, let's keyframe the camera there, skip to the end, and we'll keyframe the camera to up there. So let's just rewind and have a look. So our camera is just simply doing that. I don't like that middle point, so I'm going to go somewhere around the middle here and just reposition and move out a bit. Something like that, stick a keyframe in there, and then that should just, I just want to keep this in the shot really. That's a bit better. Okay, so we have our simple camera move and so on and so forth. Lovely. The in video, I'm just going to put the scale of the floor up a little bit. Maybe add a bit more of a gradient. Turn the floor reflection on. Put the reflection amount right up. Add a bit of blur to it perhaps. The lighting, let's just have a look if we come out. It's all a little bit far away really, so let's just hair light, we can just lower that down a little bit. Fill light, let's just move that in a bit, and the key light, we'll move that in a bit like that. Maybe reduce the size of that. My fill light, I don't want it to be circular, but I want the size of it to be a bit bigger because I want to catch it on the screen. That's looking a bit better. So, and also my fill lights, I'm just going to stick slightly to the edge of blue, only slight. Wonderful. I think that should be about it. Let's just rotate them just a little bit. There we go. Okay. And our global reflection image is fine for this. So that's cool. Right, that's that done. That's that done. Let's go back into the camera. And we now need to render this out. So let's go and do some render settings. The width, I just want to put this really low res or something for now, just so that while we're playing around. So 640 by 360, nice and low. Keeps it about the right aspect. All frames, yes, save, we need to put it somewhere, so we'll choose maybe PNG files, and let's create a folder. We'll call it maybe render01, and this is the cab with video, whatever. Right, okay, and we hit render. Right, that's going to sit and render out. So what I'll do is I will let this get on with it, and we'll join it at the end, save you having to just sit and watch it. Okay, so you join us just at the end of the render here. As you can see, it's very nearly got there. Thanks to doing it in low res, I haven't had to sit and wait too long. But this way is quite a smart little way of doing it. So, like I say, what you'll see is the animation happening in there. and so on and so forth. So that's pretty cool. And obviously if you keep rendering these out and just keep rendering them out and putting them inside one another, you can create a Drost effect. You can have an arcade machine within an arcade machine within an arcade machine, and so on and so forth. Anyway, right, so that's that one done. So that's that method. Fine, brilliant. The other method, let's have a quick look now. There's a couple of little modifications we're going to need to make to do the other method. Let's first of all go into the cabinet and find the screen, which is here. Now what I've done is the screen that's in here, I've just put a bit of a curve to it. But if you're using this method, I actually recommend swapping the screen out with a flat one, just because it just makes it a little bit easier. So if we keep the screen held or highlighted and we add a plane, let's hold down Alt so it comes in with the same positional details. Just take that screen back out of that plane. I want to change the plane so it's on the Z axis, like so. And I'm also going to shrink it right down. So let's just take the screen and the plane out of the system, and we'll turn off the arcade cabinet. Hold down Alt and click those, and that makes them go like that. Okay, so that's where our screen is. So I want to try and make our plane the same size as the screen. So let's just do that to about there, and that to about there. I think that's about right, isn't it? Oh, stay still. Okay, so it needs to come down a touch and just bring it in a little bit. Doesn't have to be exact, as long as basically it's just going to replace it. So let's move the flat screen so it's back to there. Right, and then we're going to turn down the arcade cabinet. We'll put both of these back into it, and we'll just turn off the screen version. There we go. And we now have, this is our new screen for in our next render. This screen, I'm going to this screen, let me rename this new screen. We can right click and do Cinema 4D tags, external compositing. You see, and now what we want to do here is create a solid. So we tick solid, and the size of it, we want to make basically the same as this one. So width 94, 95, so we'll just copy that and paste that into there. And in the height, we will go into there and paste that one. There we go. So it's now like so. And we just want to put a shiny reflective surface on it. Just something like a black with a little bit of reflection for now. Bang, 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 bang. Okay, yeah, something like that. And we put that on our screen. Okay, so now I'm just going to just mix things up a little bit. So I'm going to delete my camera from this one. I'm also going to delete Infidio Pro because I'll show you the difference with how easy this is. So if we just change to Infidio Dark and just put that into the scene, and let's add a camera, and let's zoom into our cabinet. I just pressed S there just to center it. So this is obviously Infidio Pro with its default setting. And something that's a bit strange is we've lost the side there, but I think it's just lighting. So what we'll do is we just hop into Infidio Dark, go to lighting, the spotlights. We just want to, let's just see what's looking where. Right, so let's rotate all of the lighting first. Let's start there. Movement and rotate all the lighting and bring that around. There we go. We can sort of see what's going on a bit better now. And let's just make this key light a little wider, and also bump up the fill light a little bit, something like that. There we go. And I'm also going to turn on the ambient lighting. Okay, we'll just have a quick look. So that should disappear off into nothing. That's all, we get a nice reflection off this floor, so that's fine. Cool, okay. Right, so that will do for that one for now. Brilliant. Okay, let's animate a camera move. And I'll tell you something I'm going to do, just so we don't have to wait too long. Let's make it 160 frames, which is fine, because we're going to zoom in a bit here. Maybe something like this, and then set a keyframe, and then at the end we'll move it around to say here. So we've got a pretty similar to move to what we just had. So that's looking like that. Fine. We need to just change our render settings. So cab, we'll call it cab no video. PNG, that's fine. We're still using our low res, all frames, that's fine. And we're going to want this compositing file. So what we'll do is we will set that rendering. Okay, so just like that. And we'll leave that going. In the meantime, we will just go into here, compositing file. What we want to do is save it. We want to select, I'm going to use After Effects to do this, and I want it to be relative, and I want it to include the 3D data. So I'm just going to hit save. And we'll just call it Arcade Cab V1, fine, whatever. That's then going to save that. And it will, yeah, now it will just sit and render out. So once again, we'll just leave that to get on with it, and you can join me again once that's finished rendering. There we go. If only all rendering worked like that, that would be amazing, wouldn't it? Right, so now we have our nice animation, and obviously not a lot going on the screen there. It's time to open it up in After Effects. But incidentally, I will just point out, this is a great example. You see how you get this nice reflection on the screen. Now, depending on what sort of look you're after, a very common one is to have a kind of line. So it's maybe a good idea to set up like just a big shape, like a big plane stretched out as a long sort of line, just with a plain white luminance material on it, and that will give you that kind of striping effect as the camera pans by. Yeah. But anyway, right, so now that we have that, we've saved our file, so we'll hop into After Effects and we will import said file. So we called it Arcade Cab, there we go, bang. And that gives you a couple of folders here. If we open up this one, there's a composite, yep, one of them. And what you can see is that's brought in some details from cinema, which is really useful. So we've got the camera, so therefore our scene is fully 3D. We have our new screen, which is this red one, which is what we're going to use as an alpha track map. And then this is obviously the footage itself. So I'm going to start off by just dumping in some other footage. So if I just grab my NVIDIA Pro version render and we add this to the scene, we'll put it there for now. Now obviously I rendered out really low res, so this is huge, so just press S and scale that down just so that we can see what we're dealing with here. And I'm also going to just scroll that along and get to a point where it's something a bit more interesting going on, so about there. Okay, that was Alt and end bracket just to kind of cut that off there, by the way. Start bracket, start square bracket. You should have seen it on the screen anyway. Right, so what we need to do here is make our new bit of video 3D. So we tick the 3D box. Now that's actually shot off the screen, it's gone down there. And the reason for this is because its positional details are all pretty much zeroed out. So what we want to do is on our new screen, we press P and then hold Shift and press R. And then that gives us all of our position and orientation settings. The only one really changing here is the X, but we'll just grab the lot, press Control C. And then if we go to our video, press P for position and then Shift and R and get the same thing again. Just highlight them and press paste. And what that will have done is glued the video to the screen. Now obviously it's looking a bit big at the moment, so let's just go back to S, scale that down. Now we're going to have an aspect ratio issue because the screen is 4:3 and my render is 16:9, but obviously this is just a tutorial. This is normally really bad practice, but I'm just going to untick keep aspect ratio and just stretch that up a little bit so it fits in there. Right, okay, and finally what we need to do is make sure that it is underneath the new screen. And then if we toggle switches here and we set that to alpha matte new screen, Therefore, that now cuts out only where it can see the red. So perfect. And there you go. Something you might want to do is change the video to screen, and then that will give you your reflection that we had come over. See a little bit towards the end there. But the beauty of this is, you know, you can tweak it. You can sort of play with the opacity, add some adjustments to it. You know, do pretty much whatever you want to the video, and it's not going to take forever to all render out again. So yeah, hopefully then that is enough to get you going, and you can go and have a play and build some arcade machines and have some fun. Oh, also finally, before I go, I just wanted to say, don't forget to go and check out the website, because there's stuff going on there all the time. Also, there's Facebook, you've got Twitter, Google+, LinkedIn, Vimeo and YouTube. You can go and sign up to any of those, and they're a great way of, you know, sending in your stuff. I'd love if you do something with this, send it in, and I'll post it on my Facebook page, and we can all have a look, and that's all good. So yes, great, lovely. Well, there we go. First one of the year, and let's continue on and have a fun old 2014. And I'll see you again soon. Okay, bye for now.